Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the investigating journalist of this episode, Andrew. With me, our tabloid journalist, Keith.
Yeah, baby.
And of course, our conspiracy theorist, Liz.
Lobster!
And this week, no one's going to get these references because no one's going to play this game. This week, I thought I would torture you guys a little, and I picked The Good Life by White Owls, which is a new studio. To give a little background, this studio is head up by none other than Swery. If anyone, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I never really looked up. That's like his screen name.
I had never heard of him until you brought it up. So
anyone who knows this gentleman, he is a famous Japanese developer. He is known to basically make games that are so bad that they're kind of good. His most famous one was in original Xbox. Was it original Xbox or was it Dreamcast? Pretty sure it was original Xbox. But it was called Deadly Premonition. And essentially it was like Twin Peaks, the video game. It's something that's just so weird and oddballish. And it was so janky, but it has the biggest cult following. He also came out with another game at the beginning of the launch of the Xbox One called D4, or Dark Dreams Don't Die. And it was like a Kinect murder investigation game where you kind of went back in time. So this is his most grounded game. And this was The Good Life, where you are playing Naomi, who is an investigative journalist from New York who has a massive amount of debt. And she is basically essentially a slave to this news report company called the Morning Bell. And she's sent to a small backwaters town in England where she's trying to find out why is it called the happiest little town. But of course, being a Swery game, not everything's as it seems, and insanity kind of ensues. Going around though, Liz, was this a game or pass for you?
Oh, geez. So, after the first hour, I started getting into it, and I begrudgingly was like, oh man, it's a game. I like it. I feel like I'm at the point now that I'm kind of seeing, I don't want to say like a lack of depth. I don't want to sound mean, but there's things that I don't know. I'm still going to give it a game, but at this point, I'm definitely going downhill.
So I think I'm actually going to give this a definite game.
A definite game.
Oh,
wow.
geez.
But I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I just want people to suffer along with me. It's honestly not bad. It's not. It's also not very fun. But my gosh, did it hook me in and I was addicted. And I just don't understand it. So I think I'm going to give it a definite game.
This is okay. I think I'm going to give it a pass. This is the weirdest game. Okay, like I first picked this game because when you look it up on Game Pass, it literally describes it as like a debt repayment RPG. And the graphics, just looking at it, it looks like straight up like a mobile phone game. The graphics do not look good. And I'm like, what is this? Who created this game? I had no idea at the time that this was a Swery game because usually when he makes a game, it's plastered all over the place. But it's not so much on this. Until it wasn't later until I did some digging and I found out. So I was like, what is this game? This game just looks wild. And so I tried it and I was like, I'm in the same boat as you, Keith. Like, I don't know why I was having fun with this game because it's janky. The humor is all over the place. It's just, there's like so many different mechanics that make it kind of fun, but also kind of tiresome. It's really hard to describe. But I mean, I beat it, and by the end of it, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm kind of done with this. I don't know, but like, I guess I kind of give it a pass because it's weird to kind of recommend it to people. It's weird. It truly is a game that's so bad that it was fun to play. It's weird.
It seems like something that somebody would make for their daughter who had all these ideas because there's so many plot holes and stuff.
Yeah.
That they were just like, I want a game about a rich girl who loses all her money. He's like, yeah.
And there's cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And you can mine things and make a garden. Yeah, that actually is a really good description, Liz.
Yeah. And again, I don't know what it is. And I'm really close to beating it. And I do agree that in terms of kind of my burnout period on it, I guess you'd say, is that by the end, I was really just like, all right, I don't really care anymore. I'm just trying to like do the next thing. But I also spent a lot of hours just doing nothing. But also not nothing. And I at no point was like having a problem with it. It was so weird. And I was like looking forward to my next time to sit down with it. But yeah, as far as like everything goes, it's all over the place. You're right. And maybe there's part of me that kind of just likes that. It's just so absolutely wonky. And I'm like, it's fun-ish.
It's a game that's like hard to start. Like, because when you look at it, you're like, nothing about this seems fun. But then as soon as you start playing it, you're like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And then you end up playing like another
Those
2 hours.
side quests get you.
Yeah, I beat the game and I'm still playing it. And I'm like, why am I still playing this?
I think too, like I kind of just gave up on the story. So, I mean, aliens, incest, like there's a lot.
There's a
going
lot
on.
of things going on here.
That just goes on the back burner. That's what I was interested in. And I mean, I don't know if I should give away spoilers because I mean, who is gonna play this game? You know,
I think literally every single achievement in the game is like a rare achievement because it's just nobody's played it. Although, isn't it off a percentage of people who have played it that have gotten it?
Yes.
So I guess to a certain degree. But yeah, I guess anyone who's probably played this game probably played about 10 minutes and went, oh no, I'm out of here. But that's why I'm here to, I don't know how I'm going to convince anyone because again, I don't think I have anything that's going to sell you on it, but I'm going to try.
So I'm going to challenge our listeners this episode. If we've convinced you to play this game, please tell us. And also tell us what you thought of it. Did we just make your life miserable? Or did you actually have fun with it like we did? But let's get into this enigma of a game. So starting off with the story, as I said, you play this young journalist who has a 30 million pound, the British currency, not actual weight. She's not that large of a woman. But you have this...
Size
Sorry,
of
she's
the
not...
earth.
I know. But she has this massive debt of 30 million, just for simplicity's sake, I'll say dollars. But yeah, she's being sent to this small town in the middle of nowhere, England. And she's told to investigate like the secret of this town. Why is it the happiest little town? And the story at first seems very kind of straightforward. You know, weird things are going on. People are turning into cats and dogs. And then all of a sudden a murder happens. And then you're like, oh, cool, this game's going to be about solving a murder. But then it kind of doesn't anymore. And
you kidnap people.
Yeah, there's so many weird aspects of this story.
So I have questions. So
have a lot of
going into
questions.
it.
I don't think we have answers, Liz.
Well, okay, so when they're turning into cats and dogs, is this because of the aliens that make the crazy chickens?
I do not know. No, I'm pretty sure it is about a Celtic lore. Not even Celtic. What was it? There was another word. It wasn't
Gaelic?
Celtic. It was something with a P. No, it was something with a P.
Separate. Is the super fast sheep separate from the aliens? They're so fast you can't even see them go.
You're talking about the butler.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, okay, we're probably going to be confusing so many people here. So there's a sheep butler, but nobody questions the fact that this guy's a talking humanoid sheep. Nobody questions that. No, Liz, as Keith said, I don't have any answers. Yes, there's a sheep that's faster than the Flash. People are turning into cats and dogs because of
the moon?
Curse? The moon? I don't know.
You can do it at will, but the townspeople can't. So you come into town and you're just extra special. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then, by the way, I mentioned earlier, so Elizabeth gets murdered. She's the only one in a wheelchair gets murdered. And her brother, like, they say, like, is kind of in love with her. Or, like, that's the
half-brother.
speculation. Okay, listen. I have 2 siblings that have a different father. There's no difference. There is absolutely no difference. And, I mean, I could see, like, if they were not raised together and then they met and they didn't know who the other person was and fell in love, that's different. I'm not getting that vibe here. So why put incest into this and then just not talk about it again?
Wait, you know there's other way. Like, you know there's a guy who's into machinery. Like he is into machinery.
Like,
which one?
You know.
The camera guy. Yeah, he asks you to basically take pictures of like the cute things in town. And like the way he describes them is really disturbing. No, there's a guy who's like legitimately into like machinery.
The knight seems like undead with the glowing eyes. Like, it's so weird.
This is what I said at the beginning. Swery's known to just have really weird stuff.
One thing I like about this though is that I feel like so many games are becoming very PC now that when a game isn't PC, it catches you off guard. So when you meet the aliens and you're trying to, go up the beanstalk, all of a sudden you hear, "No fatties allowed." And I was like, whoa, you can say that in a game, I guess. And so I'm not saying I like people calling each other fatties, but like it's...
I'm not liking it, but I do find it funny.
But I do like that there's a game that just like, I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. Incest? Check. Aliens? Check. I hate fatties? Check. Like, it is just so random. And so it brought humor, but if you're also like offended by that kind of thing, maybe don't play this game.
Yeah, I was going to say this. Some of the jokes are a bit... They want to be edgy, and they're just not. But I think, and I'm sorry if I missed you saying, Andrew, but I think this is sort of the idea of who this developer is and like the types of games that he makes. Because I was actually reading one thing about it, and I guess one of his last games he got himself into some hot water for some jokes that were kind of and they fell a little flat. So like, yeah, or that people didn't take too well to it. I mean, I guess he tried to make up for it in other ways and sort of anywho, all I understand is that I think this is sort of what he's known for, and
yeah,
I don't think he really cares, which doesn't make it okay, but I think he just does it. But yeah, I thought it was magic, because I thought, like Andrew said, it was like, Celtic, Gaelic, some sort of, I don't know, British Isles there. I apologize to our listeners there that I know nothing about your geography. I'm American. Don't blame me.
It definitely is part magic, because it goes in a whole tangent of like King Arthur and Merlin and Morgana and like all the other witches and stuff during King Arthur's reign. So there is plenty of magic that's going on. But then, there's of course military experiments, aliens, and
it gets confusing.
It gets very confusing. And time travel. We also forgot to mention there's also some time travel. When you go to the castle to get the vampire's blood.
Oh, yeah. I also want to point out, too, when I was playing this, I didn't know who created it, where they're from. And so I was really curious who created it, because there's a lot of anti-royalty aspects to this. So, yeah. I mean, you obviously have like the history of the town, that the royalty, really evil. And then the main character was talking about how in school she was taught that everybody was equal because someone was possessed, another weird thing. But then she also said like, oh, but we were also taught that, Columbus was a hero. But yeah, I just felt like there was a lot of anti-royalty themes. And so I wasn't sure if like it was American, British, but now it's good to know.
Yeah. So I'm bringing it in early. So as I said, nobody probably understands the intros we did. But yeah, I love this guy is from Osaka, Japan as the developer. Like he's, from Japan. And of course, he created this character who's from New York. And if anyone knows anything about New York, there's a huge rivalry between New York and Boston. So of course, you have a arch nemesis, kind of. I mean, he's a frenemy is the best way, I guess, to describe him. But he's another journalist in the town. And of course, he's from Boston. And I think it's so funny that they tried like such a stereotypical Bostonian, in which someone from the Boston area, it's like, should I be offended on like some of the things this guy says and does?
I'm offended that they didn't bring up donkeys. Like, you're from Boston and you're not going to bring up donkeys? Like,
nobody calls it donkeys. Don't call it donkeys. Everyone calls it Dunkins. That's why I got renamed.
No, it's just Dunks. What is wrong with both of you? I mean, yes, They renamed it to Dunkins because, I don't know, they still sell donuts, so it totally makes sense to drop that. Yeah, it's Dunks.
Her and her sister call it donkeys.
Yeah,
it's
Dunkins. Please never say that in my presence again. I'm offended.
Donkeys. Right. Donkeys.
We're losing listeners every time you say that.
But I mean, I feel like New York is all about the pizza, right? And I feel like Massachusetts has like every good food. You just can't pick like what Boston's known for. I mean,
it's not true.
I can't. But anyway, yeah, a lot of stereotypes in this.
But I love it. It wasn't anything like, for me, I thought it was hilarious. So I guess I really wasn't offended. But I do love he tried it. Except there was a couple times where they actually had him speak and they were actually his voice log. Does not sound like a Bostonian. Like, I know they were trying to go with like the deep, a Southie of a Bostonian, but it doesn't really sound like it. But I at least like some of the phrases they threw in there.
I mean, it's hard too though, because there's so many different Boston accents. You know, it's not just losing your R's.
Yeah.
So
What I liked is that I mean, it's weird because there's not a lot of voice acting in this game, but there is sometimes, and it's all very hit or miss. And when you get that, but you never, or at least from what I heard him speak, yeah, he doesn't have much of an accent, but all of his dialogue is very Boston, like just the frickin' chowda head. Like, yes, Bostonians are known for cursing, but frickin' is a word that gets used here all the time. And things like,
I felt like I heard more just straight up F bombs.
well, yeah, but no, he in particular, I don't think used the F bomb. But also he, you know, things like wicked smart and like, I don't know. I thought they did a good job, but also did a bad job. And in some ways, I felt like the things that were done poorly intentionally. But I could be wrong.
I mean, sometimes when the character is actually talking, what she's saying, it's not what's on the screen, and sometimes it doesn't fit. Like, she'll be like, seriously? But the text is not angry.
Yeah.
So
her character
also
smiling.
felt like maybe like you just don't talk there, because there really isn't a lot of voice acting, and it's unfortunate too because I tried to IMDb it because I was really curious, and there's nothing. So.
There's just about nothing anywhere
Or I
on this
couldn't
game.
find it.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're
that's the thing.
we're
There
the first and only, I think.
There were things I was lost about, and then like the Good Life blogs would come up. YouTube was a bust. Like, you can't just look up specific things. So if you're
Some
stuck, you're
Kanye.
stuck.
Yep. I tried to find the location of like a certain breed of sheep, and it actually was like, give me the actual breed of sheep in the real world. And I'm like, no, I want to know about the video game. I don't care about the actual sheep.
I also want to point out that there's a guy that I don't know if he works for, what is it, the Bell or whatever.
Morning Bell.
Yeah, Morning Bell. But he actually like steals stuff from her, and she doesn't get the money. For me, every time I saw that guy, I'd be like, nope, not talking to you. Like, why doesn't she do anything?
He's your debt collector. He's also like four times her size.
He stole money.
No,
What is he gonna do?
He steals the thing to sell it for you, and you get a cut of it.
No, because there was one time that they did that, and then it said like, "Oh, you didn't get any money." So it was the vampire blood.
Oh, yeah.
So he steals from you. Do not work with that guy anymore. What is he gonna do? Beat you up in public? There's people all around.
Do you think anyone in this town cares? Someone was murdered, and they're just like, oh yeah, that's just kind of a thing that happens in this town.
You can arm yourself, protect yourself. No way. Someone steals from me. No way.
All right.
Another plot hole.
Keep your Massachusetts inside, okay, Liz?
But speaking of looking things up on this game, there was a couple times where the game actually said, Google it. Did you guys actually Google it?
Really?
I
No.
didn't notice that.
So on...
I did see one time, but I did not
Yeah.
Google it because I thought she was just talking about it in the game, and I didn't think to actually Google it.
No, you see, I thought this... knowing this developer, I'm like, this is kind of fourth wall breaking. I'm going to check it out. So on Route B, you're going to a military base, and the whole mission is called the Blue Peacock. And when you finish it, yeah, the person you're talking to says like, oh yeah, just like Google it. And I Googled it, and it actually is a military program called the Blue Peacock that the British did. And it was during World War II, where they actually were planting like nuclear bombs at like strategic locations. So if the British lost it, they would just detonate it. And the funny thing is one of the things they try to convince, the issue they had with it is that some of the wires would freeze. So someone actually proposed the idea of lacing the wires with live chickens. So that's why there was live chickens during that mission. Even though it's something really weird to do with aliens, it actually like made sense in the actual context of the real mission.
That's
and it was
really
like,
interesting.
I know.
cool.
It was like, yeah, I was like, this is really weird. Because like the entire time, like, what's the point of these chickens? And then when I actually Googled it and read it, it's like, oh, so that's probably why you put it in there. So yeah, this game actually has some cool Easter eggs to it.
But I will say, like, the fourth wall jokes, I don't think landed with this game. I mean, we've talked about it before. I typically don't like them in games, and this is another one of them that I didn't like. I didn't think it was necessary. I do like what you're talking about, but I'm just talking like the random little fourth wall jokes in there. I'm just like, ugh. Because it takes you out of it.
What, like the storyteller when he would pop in?
No, they would actually do like they would talk about gaming and stuff.
Oh
The
yeah, that was a
dialogue.
little annoying.
And I was just like, that is totally out of place. I actually like the narrator.
The narrator, yeah, some of his things are kind of funny. At one point, your character tries to climb a mountain in order to withstand the cold. She has to drink an Irish coffee. And I like the storyteller kicks in and goes, I feel like I don't have to tell people this, but just to be safe, please, for the love of God, do not climb a mountain by drinking alcohol.
Isn't it so sad that you have to give warnings for everything now?
Yeah. But I don't know if you guys realize too, but this was a Kickstarter game because, I mean, when you start up the menu, they have a Kickstarter thing at the beginning to list the backers. But I think it's funny when you beat the game, Swery is actually in the cafe. And if you're a backer, I looked this up because he said Google it. So this is another thing I Googled. But depending how much money you donated, you could actually have a virtual dinner with Swery with your character. But he wouldn't let you, like, or at least let me because I wasn't a backer. But
Wow.
I thought that was funny. That's why they put his character in there so you could have dinner as a reward.
I can't believe people backed this game. I mean, it's just like if somebody told me what this game was about, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Well, Keith saw a trailer for it. He said the trailer actually looks better.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a trailer. It was a gameplay demo from like 3 years ago, and it was like it looked more polished. The graphics weren't necessarily better, but yeah, it was brighter, more polished. There was like moving vehicles through this town. It was a living world. It wasn't just people like aimlessly running around. So I guess it regressed a little in some ways.
All right. So we're already about like 20 minutes of this episode. So just quick points. Did you guys enjoy the story?
Not really. I didn't. I mean, I was following along, but I was like, I just want to beat these missions and get my money.
See, good for you, Keith, for following along. I got lost. So for me, like, I was enjoying it, but I also wasn't getting as much from it. And same with, like, I mean, the dog versus cat thing. Like, I just used them based on whatever abilities I needed. I feel like they didn't really incorporate that into, like, the townspeople that much with, like, personality and stuff.
Yeah, the game said depending like what team you're aligned to, whether team dog or team cat, people interacted with you more or differently. I didn't notice a difference.
Yeah, and it's so expensive to, like, up one. So I just kept doing both. And you kind of need both.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought to a certain degree. No, because I was getting cat missions too. I was going to say maybe you only got missions from people who are on the same alignment. But I do know that when it said like prices changed in shops, it was in game, but it was also in relation to your status, like as the shop owner. And I noticed that it seemed like I was getting more money with like dog missions. And I say that only because there was just like weird like $6.25 or something like that.
Yeah, those were weird.
I thought it was only if you were smelly. Like the shop prices went down when you weren't taking care of yourself because it is like a beauty place.
I mean, there's that too.
Which there was no radar for that. No, right?
No, all you really had was the flies if you got too stinky.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I do agree with you, Liz. I for the most part, I for the most part enjoyed the story. It's easy to get lost, but at least like that there was kind of segmented stories in each one. And I thought they were relatively interesting. I at least like the characters. The characters I thought were pretty interesting. But overall, yeah, the story is just really confusing. So
yeah,
don't feel bad if you're lost.
Yeah. No, all the characters were very unique. And I thought that like personality wise, obviously look wise, there was like a very small handful of just generic characters. And I thought that was really nice.
You have a girl with one giant, massive right arm, and the other arm's left. Her left arm's normal.
Well, she works on Burley Farm. She's Burley.
Yeah, but I don't get why only one arm is Burley and the other one's not.
Again, stop asking me questions. I don't have answers. I only have opinions.
Okay, that's true.
I
So
was going to make an inappropriate joke. I was going to say, at least they did it for a female character.
that's true.
I don't know if we should keep that in, but I thought that with the game, I was like, they purposely picked a female for that.
No, that's the Patreon cut. So just blur out what Liz said and then leave my comment.
But as far as like the actual gameplay goes, so like I said, you're a photographer, so you are going around and taking pictures, and every week you have buzzwords that are like hot topics that you want to take pictures of.
Twice a week.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, twice a week. But I do think it's funny that Liz enjoyed this game. Both Liz and Keith, for the most part, enjoyed this game because there's so many aspects of this game that I thought for sure you guys would hate. So when we played the Artful Escape, Liz hated that game was like, oh, it feels like you're trying to be like Instagram famous. In this game, you legitimately are trying to be Instagram famous.
I didn't care about any of that. So for me, I just love games that have side quests and you have like what disappointed me was that I thought this was going to be a game where you're constantly improving your property, where you're gardening a lot, there's side quests, you're scavenging, and I felt like a lot of it was just like you upgrade your house like once.
Yeah.
Same with-
Yeah, you can change it around, but yeah, you only upgrade it once.
Yeah, and I feel like with gardening, you have to buy food so much in order to learn recipes that I felt like I didn't even need to garden. I had so much crap I wasn't using.
Yeah.
And then the merchants, like I would trade, but I would still like have so much stuff that gardening wasn't important. It was great having like the extra bag space, but it would fill up with seeds because I was just like, I don't need to do this. There's a storage shed too, so it's not a big deal. But for me, I thought it was gonna be different. Like the whole likes and stuff, I didn't care about. I like that I got things like you have to take a picture of this, and I like that like you got emails from people, and it's weird because they seem so friendly and nice, and your character's kind of a bee.
Oh yeah, your character's very
So-
unlikable.
Oh,
Yeah, so
all
same
she
with
does is
Rita.
complain.
Which I thought like Rita was in love with Elizabeth's brother or something. That's kind of the vibe that I got, but she's kind of just like the main character.
Yeah, she's an independent woman.
I will say, gameplay wise, I do think that the game is buggy.
It's
Because-
quirky. I wouldn't even
No,
call it
yeah.
buggy. I'd
for
call it
instance-
quirky.
No, because for instance, there are certain you have to assign a mission or a quest in order to fulfill it. So if you do something and it's not selected, it won't work. Sometimes it just flat out didn't work, and for me, that is obnoxious.
Yeah.
That should not happen in a game because I did it like 3 or 4 times, and same with like I had a mission like you have to when you're a dog you have to mark your territory and pee on a certain amount of like areas. And sometimes it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't allow me to pee on it. Andrew saw it. So for me, like when it affects like the actual quests and you can't do them, I do think that is a problem.
I mean, yes, you're right. But I still think
It sounded so difficult for you to say that. Oh,
Well,
I don't want to admit it.
Well, no, because I think Andrew nails it. Is that the game is just quirky. It's weird, and
It's not quirky. It's not intended. It's a fault in the game.
I honestly think it's like intentionally half built. I don't know how to explain it. It's I don't know. I never had anything game breaking happen to me. Yeah, there was a couple times where like something didn't seem to pop up right, but usually it was just like, I don't know, travel back to the house, go to sleep for the night, and it would correct itself. Worst
Yeah.
case, like once I think I quit out because there was a character I couldn't find. But honestly, I tended to, so the game works on like an in-game timer, which I think is, it seems like it's like 1 minute is a second or something, like a minute per second. And I would lose track of time, almost like when I was playing the game. Like I never really knew if it was day or night unless I saw people out, because half the time I was just wandering around the countryside, collecting things, doing whatever. And then if I got to where I needed and like didn't see someone, okay, teleport home, go to sleep for the night. Like, I don't know, most cases that's what I was running into as my main issues, I think, more than things not working. But I do agree it's kind of annoying to have to switch through it, but it's not. The menu to switch between quests is so quick and easy to use, and I don't know, it didn't bother me that much. It was just like a weird quirky thing about it.
But it sounds to me like you didn't have an issue where like you tried multiple times for a quest and it just wouldn't work at all.
I mean,
Did you have a quest that you like had to do like 3 or 4 times and you just gave up?
So, I mean, maybe not gave up, or if I did, honestly, I don't know. I probably just moved on to something else, because there was definitely times where I kind of just was struggling to find whatever I needed to, or that I was like, oh, I don't have money, or I don't, countless reasons.
No,
that
I mean
just,
like you, for instance, post a photo and like you posted it and it wouldn't come up that you did it. Like not that you couldn't do it, but that the game wouldn't allow you to do it.
Now, and honestly, and I'm not even trying to give you like I think you're actually wrong. I will say there's like weird aspects of how the photography works. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be specifically focused on a thing that if it's not done, if you're focused on the wrong thing by mistake, even if what you want is in the photo, it's not going to count it. And there's
But
just
it
like
wasn't
weird
just
things.
photography stuff. I'm just saying that was just an
Okay,
example.
I was just responding to your
You just
example.
want so bad to disagree with me.
No, because
Whatever.
because I didn't run into anything that like broke my game. I guess I'm not saying it didn't happen to you. I'm saying
My
I
game
didn't
was
have
just
it.
extra quirky, I guess.
I guess so.
Extra fun.
I don't know, Liz. I do not know.
My game was just extra fun. Like,
I was having way more fun than you.
oh my god.
I think I'm a little sassy today.
A little bit.
This has been like the last like month.
Okay.
Whoa!
So I agree with both of you. So Liz, I understand where you're coming from, but nothing ever broke for me. So I agree with Keith on that. Like I never had an issue. Anytime I had something like Keith said, it was the same thing for me. I would just go to bed or something, just wait for the game to like refresh after 24 hours of in-game time, and it usually worked fine. Some of the photo stuff I was having, I think you're specifically talking about the sheep photo.
That was one of many side quests. I just bring up photos as like a general topic to discuss. I'm not like I had missions that weren't photo related that did not work. So I feel like you guys keep bringing up the photo, but I'm not saying like specifically photo quests.
Well, so
there was only one photo that gave me issue, and besides that, I had no issue. As far as collecting and selecting Aeon things, yes, that was a little broken, but that wasn't anything too big of a deal.
It's not game breaking because it's not like this isn't even the main quest. This is just side quests.
Yeah.
I love doing the side quests more than main quests. So I think that's probably why I noticed it more too, because I was always doing those. I was ignoring the main.
I will say I enjoyed the side quests more. I think I actually spent more time in game, like going around collecting things, doing side quests, because I thought they were actually just one more interesting in terms of some of the things that you had to do, but also I get it. I like a lot of games do this, like you have to do this right now type of mission, but it just seemed to annoy me when I got the like urgent missions. And
those were only when you did the main story ones. You got urgent missions.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, but what if I don't want to do this anymore? That's like there was just part of me that didn't like that. But yeah, I don't know. There's just weird things too. Like you and I were talking one night while we were playing it, Andrew, and I kept complaining about the dig spots. And I don't know if you realize this or not. Maybe you do, and or maybe you even said it to me and I didn't catch it. But so as a dog, one of the things that you can do is you can pee on things.
And there's a pee mini game.
But what I've noticed, and I discovered this last night playing it, is every time you go and you mark a pee spot, there's a dig spot nearby it, and it doesn't pop up until after you mark the spot.
Oh.
So, hot tip for everyone, if you're looking for trying to find dig spots as a dog, look for your pee spots, pee, and the dig spots will pop up for you.
That's what they were for. I was sitting there, I'm like, what's the point of marking territories? Well, that makes sense.
Yep, and then when that reset, that's when you would know the dig spot was reset too, because they would reset on the same timer. So like there's little things about this game that are about the gameplay that I don't think are always told to you, that I just sort of stumbled across by accident. Honestly, I went through 95% of my gameplay, and I don't know if it made a difference, just using the original camera. I knew that I got another one. I just assumed that I had it. You have to equip that new camera.
Yeah. If you use your old camera, photos are black and white. But if you use the newer camera, your photos are in color.
Yeah, that probably would have made a big difference in my money making.
Yeah.
Because I was doing black and white photos for a long time. And when I say a long time, I mean all my gameplay.
So here's a little tip for the one person who probably actually tries picking up this game. If you actually want to make money doing photos, I'm assuming, like me and Liz were doing the same thing. We only took pictures of the hot buzzwords. Don't do that. You don't really have a limit. You do, but it's huge. But you don't have to pay for like new film or anything like that. Just take picture of everything, because sometimes, like, I think I take a great landscape picture and I get like 1 like, but then I take a picture of a street lamp and I get like 1,000 likes, and it's like, oh, okay.
It takes a while to actually have more space on your whatever the social media is.
Yeah,
so
but you need
say,
followers.
Like, you have to delete. So it does take a little while to actually be able to post as many as you want. But yeah, it is a really good tip.
But it's okay to just delete those pictures, because you're not going to get any more likes on the old ones. So you just need a constant stream of money. So just take random pictures, whatever, especially if you're doing the main quest, because when you're doing the main quest, you're kind of going to very unique locations and seeing some very unique items and structures and stuff. Take pictures of those. You'll get a ton of likes for them.
I didn't know that you stopped getting likes, because I would have deleted them and posted more. That's really good.
Yeah, well, that's why I think when you max it, or not I think, but that's why when you max it out, it's like, hey, do you just want to delete your oldest photo to replace it with? Because you're not getting anything on there. And kind of going off what Andrew was saying too about the pictures when you're taking it, don't just take random photos. Make sure that it like highlights something and it's like and it gives you
it has a keyword.
Because even if it is just a street lamp, you may not post it now. You may hold on to it, and then all of a sudden you see a hot word that's like, ooh, street lamps. So then you post that picture. So yes, Andrew's point is right, but just make sure if you play this game, please do. Then make sure something is highlighted on your camera, or it's just kind of a generic picture that no one's going to care about.
Oh, so going back to what Keith said about the urgent missions, there's one that's really annoying. It's very long, and I at one point I actually went back and had to save because I needed to quit the game because you have to go back to your bed to save. And Andrew told me that it's actually really important to do this mission first out of the 3. And Andrew, do you remember which mission it is?
Route
A, B, or C?
It's A. Yeah, Route A.
Because when you're a dog, you have like the most stamina, then the cat, then the girl, I believe. But when you get a sheep, you have unlimited because you're riding it, and you can actually accelerate. And every single time she says, "Come on,
yeah, baby,"
which is great. But what I wanted to
unison.
also say about the urgent missions is you really can't fail them. So, I mean, there are ways in the game, like, that you can get sick and you end up in the hospital and pay a ton of money. But, for instance, this one, it was a race kind of thing. You had to get to the exit at a certain amount of time. Anybody can do this. I was nervous about it, but you can't fail. They give you so much time. So, I think that's interesting with the game, too, where you have these moments where they just make it so easy that, like, I feel like the youngest kid could do it that's even remotely good at video games. But then all of a sudden, like, the fighting is so bad that a badger hits you twice, like, comes up behind you and you're in the hospital.
Oh, the fighting is the worst aspect of this game.
Yeah, it's really weird, kind of like the difficulty measure. Yeah, the fighting is awful. And same with, like, another gripe is that the cat is the only one that can really jump high. And so with all these walls, whenever you're traversing, if you're not on a main path, like, you kind of have to be the cat. But maybe I just wasn't on the main path enough. But I just felt like I was constantly going to cat to jump.
But you always struggled with the platforming in this game. I actually had to help you a handful of times.
I mean, platforming in general, I'm not very good at.
But I mean, like, the movement of the game is very janky that I don't blame you for being bad at the platforming with it.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to look at the walls because, like, if you go up the hill, you can jump over it. But, like, midway, you can't. So it's a learning curve.
I have a question for you guys. Who do you think, what age group is this game targeted for? So this game is rated teen. And as Liz said, like, as we've discussed, there's some very adult themes that are kind of in this game. But then there's things that are so easy that it seems like it's steered towards kids. What age do you think this game's for?
It's an everyone game. But for content, I think teen or above is fair. But, like, it's not for teens. I think it's just for anyone. Like, there's nothing in particular that I think is like, oh, I get this because, like, there's nothing about this that is me. I don't know.
There's quite a bit of language, too, though. Yeah,
I mean, there's that. But I don't know. I think the only really restriction I feel like on this game is the content, but outside of that, I don't know. I think anyone who just feels like they want to give this game a try is who it's for. And if you can put up with it, then you're gonna play it for hours and not even realize you've done it. But if you're not into it and it's not for you, you're gonna play about 5 minutes and go, no thank you, and you're gonna go play something better, because there are a lot of better games out there. I can promise you that.
It's weird because the picture you'd think like a kid.
Yeah.
But definitely not for kids.
I mean, the game's called The Good Life and it has cats and dogs.
I know, but like for me, like, I mean, like I said earlier, the incest alone, I don't want to explain that to kids. And also, the character is not nice. And
she's
you're
awful.
Trying to get her into a better position, but she doesn't really learn anything along the way. I feel like she doesn't. I feel like she's always rude. I don't think she gets any better.
At the very end, you actually get an option. I wish I picked the bad option, but you have an excess of a couple extra $1 million, and you pick how you want to allocate that money.
Do you invest it in the vampire blood? Because she mentioned that.
No, you can either give it to the town, or you can pocket it and go back to New York and live a luxury lifestyle. I picked give it to the town. because I didn't know if it would let me continue playing if I picked the other one. So that's why I picked the good
Well,
one.
she said that
That
she
was nice of you.
would someday invest in the farmer who
Yeah,
is making
but no.
vampire blood. So, to me, I think another plot hole. Come on, I was rooting for that farmer.
So as I said, yeah, so with the gameplay, as Liz was saying earlier, there's just a lot you can do in this game. You know, you can mine minerals, you can garden, you can take pictures, you have a sheep, and you have races you can do. There's only like 3 races, but, you know, there's some races there. You know, you can turn into a cat and a dog, and each one have different abilities. There's animals you can hunt. You know, you can craft things. Like, there's a ton of different aspects to this game that are just, like, all over the place. But, Liz, you said it the other day that I think, you know, kind of nails it. Even though this game has a ton of different aspects, they all seem slightly half-baked. None of them are
Yeah.
kind of fully fleshed out,
Especially,
which is
like,
a little disappointing.
This is like the first time we really mentioned mining. I mean, mining, you just go up to a rock and you
Press A and you
yeah.
get reward.
And for me, it wasn't really fun. I mean, there's so many games that we have played, like My Time at Portia. I mean, there's so many games that I have personally played that has mining, and this is probably the worst mining I've ever done in a game. I don't even want to go to the mines.
I mean, I wouldn't say the worst.
Well, it's easy, but
Yeah.
it's not fun. You're not like
It's not fun, yeah.
For instance, My Time at Portia, like you can kind of see the shape and you're like, oh, what is it? I really need this. I hope it's this. In this, you're just like, I need these 3 minerals, and then you just keep hitting them until you get enough.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that, but I didn't find this any less fun from a mining perspective. Every mining in every type of game like this, walk up, press A, get reward.
Yeah.
Some of them might define
But
it a little
didn't
better.
even look
Cool.
different. They didn't even look different.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Liz. I'm just saying I
But
couldn't
you
have cared
are.
less. No, I'm saying it didn't bother me. I wasn't like, oh man, this isn't fun. It was the same thing I do in every game. I go around and I look for and hope I'm going to find the thing I need by pressing A and getting my reward.
But you're
So there's like the only thing I can think of is like maybe some games that do like a little like quick time event where it's like, all right, you have to hit it at a certain point and you'll get like a better reward. Like, but I don't know, is that more fun or is it just more challenging?
No, but other
I don't
games
know.
have different mines for different things, or you have to delve deeper and you actually have to take more time to get to the other areas, which is exciting because you're like, I can't wait till I can get, aluminum or something. So you actually have something to look forward to other than just having rocks that are just 4 things and you just keep smacking them away. So for me, I mean, I think there is a very big difference. Even Stardew, I mean, they had different colors. You go deeper into the mines and you really want to get different minerals and different gemstones. Like, so for me, it's like not all mining is the same.
Okay, I will say that from the aspect of it, like Andrew said, being a bit half baked, it's sort of an afterthought. It was, well, I'm gonna say 2 things that are related. Is that I'm surprised that there wasn't fishing in this game. Or no,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Let me actually spin it the other way. Is that it's like fishing is in most games. Like it's always thrown in for no good reason.
Yeah, even Hades
whether they
had
do
it.
a good job at it or a bad job at it. Let's just throw fishing in this game. And on that same token, why isn't there fishing in this game? It has every other half-baked idea.
Yeah, you're a
Let's
cat.
just go fishing.
Go fish as a cat.
Fish as a cat or just fish in general. I was shocked to find out. Like I was waiting for it to happen and it just never did. But that's where, yes, I'll give you that. It doesn't have as much depth as some of the others do in terms of the items and, how far you need to go into a mine or something like that. But I didn't think the mining was really different from like how you did it. And it didn't bother me.
So I think it's funny, Keith, that you keep also saying like, oh, if you could stand playing this game or something like that. I just want to point out the fact that all 3 of us played this game and we all did like this game. So like you're making it seem like, oh, we're like a rare breed of people that like this game, but it's like we're very 3 unique people and all of us still enjoyed it.
We all have our different favorite types of video games.
Yeah. So I think so I'm really interested to hear if any of our listeners, I recommend you at least play like an hour or 2. Just stick through it. And I want to see if you finally hit that turning point where you're like, okay, I can actually keep playing
I
this.
feel like the first hour is meh, and then I feel like the middle is good, and then the end, I was done. So I feel, I feel like 2 to 3 hours. Maybe.
Yeah, because like it is weird. I feel like we are complaining about a lot of the things in the gameplay, but for whatever reason, it was so addictive. Like you guys were saying, the side quests are fun. If you think about it now, the side quests are not fun. All of them are all fetch quests, and fetch quests are so boring. Your character even makes a comment about how awful it is to do fetch quests. Yet that's mostly what you're doing is fetch quests.
But also, I kept complaining about how it costs like $10 every single time that you use a shrine, and how it should just be one lump sum, and then you can use them as much as you want. But I kept using them. So for me, like I feel like I was nitpicky with the game, but I still did things that I didn't want to do.
This is what is so weird about The Good Life. There's so much about it that just doesn't make sense why we had so much fun with it. Because even too, like I said, when I first looked at this, it looks awful. And when you actually play the game, it looks awful. Like the graphics are not good.
Her hair really bothers me.
The character models, I think, are the only thing that are slightly okay. The characters remind me very much of my time in Portia, but the environments are flat, bland, and lifeless.
I like the buildings.
Yeah, the buildings, look like, an English countryside, but the lands are flat and barren.
I will say the animals
Yeah.
look at least decent, because our toddler went by the TV one day when I was playing it, and she got really excited to see a dog. So, I mean, a toddler can recognize them.
Yeah.
I have a comment on that, and I'm going to try and keep this in our rating range.
Oh, jeez.
Because you and I were talking about this, Andrew, and the positioning of the dog for marking, or for for when you're urinating, if you will. And I noticed something is that the achievement is so the achievement for it is called marking with KING capitalized. May seem innocuous, yes. However, you can do the drinking game, and the achievement for winning the right amount of drinking games is Drink Queen. So I think when you become a dog, you become a male dog.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, because
I think
she pees like a male dog, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually intentional, because I think you become actually a male dog, because, and I'm only basing it on the achievement. I know it's a stretch, but I kind of think that it's for that reason.
Good find, Keith.
That was good investigative journalism right there.
But that's the thing, and maybe that's what this is about this game, is that there was always just weird little things that I would find that I was like, oh, that's a weird thing I didn't know I could do, or like that's a weird thing that I didn't really realize. Like halfway through the game, I realized that you see these little empty cardboard boxes, and you can turn into the cat, and you can jump inside it, and you can groom yourself, so you don't have to go all the way back home to take a shower or to beauty up. You can actually just turn into a cat, groom yourself, and become nice and clean. But I just stumbled across it.
I also want to point out, now that we're talking about like the dog cat stuff, that there's this mission I said earlier that you have to pee on a certain number of spots. Everybody knows that you're turning into these animals, and they turn into animals too. They know that you're just going around town just like pissing on everything. So like, what is going through your mind where it's like, the whole town, like the entire town knows that you're just...
I mean, she's not thrilled about it. She literally is like, I'm never telling anyone about this. And then everyone's like, oh, hey, you did that thing. And she's always super embarrassed about it. But the thing is, she's a terrible person, and all she cares about is money. And she keeps saying that. She's like, well, I'll do it because I want that money.
In all fairness, though, like, I've seen a lot of people pee in public. People who think that no one's around, and they go to the bushes, and it's like, dude, you're at a playground right now. How do you think people are seeing you?
Whoa, you see people peeing at a playground?
Okay, that's a straight up federal offense.
Yeah.
First of all,
let me reword that, because I want that on the air. But people,
why? People do that. There's disgusting people out there.
I have personally seen it. That's why I didn't think that it was like. I know it's a big thing.
You don't want people to think that you're the one peeing at playgrounds?
I'm just saying, I have seen people pee in all sorts of places, and usually they're drinking a lot. But so maybe it isn't that weird.
I mean, I'm not gonna say in public, but like in a private outdoor setting, I'm not ashamed to say it at all. Peeing outside is my favorite place to pee.
Oh, I've peed out in many of woods.
See, as a woman,
so freeing.
I heard about this thing. It's like
the shiwi.
Yes, and I was like, that's a game changer, because as a woman, like, peeing outside sucks. I've never done it. No, I've never done it. I've never had to pee in the woods. But I'm just saying, like, if I was, like, camping or something and it wasn't one of the camps that had, like, the public toilets, that would suck for me. That would be great. You guys are so uncomfortable right now.
No, it's not even. It's just public urination. This whole thing every week we just stray further from the sun. This podcast, all three of us, not just you, Liz.
I know.
I was gonna ask that. I was like, is it always me?
No, just all of us. We just do.
Okay.
Music.
Remember we were talking about graphics?
Oh, is this one of those things you're going to say if the animals have buttholes?
Oh, yeah, they don't have buttholes, which is good because when you run at the cat, she sticks her tail up, and I don't know if I would be looking at a cat's butthole.
See, I
for a lot
didn't
of
notice. I the entire game, I never thought to myself, do they have that? But you always bring it up with animals. So I was like,
it's because a lot of games don't do it, and so when a game does it, it's very surprising.
But it's also everyone has one, so is it surprising?
I don't know. I mean, I have a cat, so I'm just used to seeing cat butt.
Oh yeah.
It is like her favorite thing to do is like, hey, you're laying in bed now. Well, here you go, and she'll just crawl up on my face and turn around.
I don't know. But yeah, let's get to sound and music. So as I said, everything about this game just seems like something each one of us would absolutely hate. So for me, as Liz has said before, I have audio issues. If there's a lot of repeating phrases, it drives me insane. But whatever reason, this game does it a lot. And it did not bother me.
But yeah, baby, because there was points where we were both playing and I was like, do you want me to get my headset so you don't have to hear it? And he's like, I don't care. I'm doing the same thing.
I know. Every time you boost while you're riding the sheep, she goes, yeah, baby, just constantly. And then, as we said, the Bostonian guy constantly says, lobster, every time he comes in. Every time he's talking, he's just constantly shouting lobster. And whatever reason, it always kind of just made me chuckle. I don't know why this game, whatever reason, just strikes a perfect balance for me.
I also like that you know when you're being chased. Like if the badgers are after you, the music changes. So I do think that there actually is a lot of good music changes for the situation that you're in. I don't know if I particularly would say that they're good. I also wouldn't say that they're bad.
See, I kind of liked the music. And coupling onto your thing, Andrew, of what things that tend to bother you that kind of surprised me didn't, is the music is a bit repetitive.
It is,
and that the loops of it are kind of short, but everything you do changes the music. If you're riding your sheep, the music is slightly different. If you're walking around town, slightly different.
Going to a store.
Yeah, in a store, it changes. Like it's just constantly changing to a point, but it also fades enough into the background that if you're in one area or if you're listening to the same thing for too long, you kind of don't notice it too much. Maybe more so if you're wearing headphones, but never enough that I found it bothersome. I kind of liked it. It was actually like nice, lighthearted, just like instrumental music. There was nothing annoying about it.
I mostly noticed it when I abruptly jumped off the sheep, and then the music just drastically changes.
Yeah. This game also has original soundtrack. I heard 2 songs since I beat the game. There is a slight but rockish song singing about the good life. And then there's also a female jazzy song about her wanting to get that money, which is also an original song. Unfortunately, this is not on Spotify, though.
They did a song about wanting to get money, and they didn't do Kanye, The Good Life. I mean, I'm guessing they didn't have the budget for it, but come on. Kanye's crazy.
I'm curious if it was a cover. I do not know Kanye, so it could be a cover, but it's possible because she does say The Good Life in wanting to get that money.
No, I mean, he doesn't specifically say get that money.
Oh, okay, because she does.
But there are references to money in the game.
Well, they say get that money a lot in the song, so it is an original song then. But I'm assuming they don't have it on Spotify because that also was a back reward, is that you got a copy of the original soundtrack.
Nice.
I am just thinking somebody's out there driving in the hot summer day, driving down, top down and blasting the original soundtrack of The Good Life, blasting on the radio, singing songs about getting that money in the good life.
Man, I hope I meet that person someday.
Me too.
I have so many questions.
Could you imagine pulling up to a red light and you hear him blasting and you're like, you played The Good Life? They're like, no, I backed it.
I backed it.
Please, I really hope some people play this game. But anyway, I can't believe how long we've talked about this game.
You thought it was going to be a quick episode, didn't you?
I didn't think it would be a quick episode, but man, we've gone on some tangents. And
Nothing
I'm sure
is quick anymore.
This game is very confusing, and I'm sure we just confused so many more of our listeners.
I'm still confused by it, and I played like 15 hours of it.
Yeah, so the next thing that I think is very unfortunate, the achievements are awful in The Good Life. I do not recommend this
I
for
looked it
achievement
up, and I
items.
would never, ever, ever 1,000 this game.
Yes.
The stuff that you have to do is just they're so repetitive.
Yeah.
And with this game, you're already doing so many repetitive things that, and then looking at our scores, Andrew, you beat the game, correct? You
Yep.
said that earlier. 16 out of 42, 270. That hurts your heart, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
And then Keith, 135. And then I'm in second at 150. I'm going to pretend Keith didn't have a really busy week. And I'm just going to be like, woo, second. Even though if your week wasn't busy, you would have beaten me. But that's fine.
No, so it's weird because as many of them are grindy and all this, I feel like I am close on some of them. Like I'm looking through and I have like 10 achievements probably that are sitting at like 80%. And it's, I don't know when I'm going to find time to go back and play this, but like I want to. And as much as the achievements aren't good, I agree. They're not anything I would recommend. I want to get them, and I don't know why.
I'm in the same boat. I was working on some of them when I beat the game, and I was like, why am I doing this?
Masochist.
This is going to take me a good like 3 hours, and it's worth like 20 gamer score. Why am I going for this? This game is an enigma. But overall, like the game isn't very long. As far as time to beat goes, like I said, a lot of people do not play this game, so the information isn't quite accurate. But to, I think, 100% this game, you're looking at 21 hours. I think I beat this game in about 12. You only have 3 main major missions, and then you have a final mission. So if you just do the main story, this game is pretty stinking quick. So it's not a very long game, but yeah, there's just a lot of things that are grindy in it. But I still just wanted to play it, and I don't know why. All right. But getting into our final thoughts here, I'll go first here. So like I said, I'm giving it a pass because it's so hard to recommend this game because there's so many weird things about it that it doesn't seem good, but it was fun, and I don't know why. So it's hard for me to say to somebody, check out The Good Life. But when you actually give it a try and actually spend some time for it, you may find it just as addictive as we did. Yes, it's very quirky. The story's all over the place. Gameplay mechanics are really weird. And it has so many little ideas, like different little ideas that aren't fleshed out, but it was fun. I just kept playing and playing when I was trying it. I got to give it a 75.
Well, I feel like that's a good score for a pass. So I'm sticking behind my definite game on this, and it's a weird because you're right, Andrew. If someone's like, I need a really good game to play, I'm not going to say The Good Life. I'm never going to say The Good Life.
Exactly. That's why I give it a pass, but it is fun.
But if you're someone who, especially if we're talking Game Pass here, and you're just looking for something, and I don't even know what I would say you're looking for. Maybe you just don't know what you're looking for. There's something about this game, like I would never have paid a dime for it. You could have been like, hey, Keith, this game is on sale for $1.99. I think you should check it out. I'm like, I don't know. I'll go buy a bottle of soda instead. But it's on Game Pass, and there's just something so... I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like it's just worth trying if you don't know what you want to play. If you have no idea what you want to play, check it out. And also, I just need someone to have suffered along, but not suffered, because I still go back to it. I don't get it. I think the best thing I can say is, like you said it early on, Andrew, every time I would pick up the game, I wasn't almost excited or nothing exciting happened, but all of a sudden 4 hours have gone by. I don't know what I've done, but I was never bored or annoyed with the game. It hooks you. If there's something addicting about it, and I don't know what it is, I'm going to give it an 82.5.
82 peeing dogs.
Yes, 82 peeing dogs. And a partridge in a pear tree.
I don't know if it's low, but I was thinking about giving it a 70 because I feel like it's a good base. Like it does have a story. It has a lot of elements I like in games, but I just feel like I need more of all of it.
And you gave it a game, right?
I gave it a game, but I'm like on the downhill. So
Okay.
I'm like, if I play much more, it's probably going to be a pass. But I did put a lot of hours into it, and I did like it was, do you know what it was? For me, it was relaxing. It was just like, you were just stressed. Play the good life. And looking at Metacritic, there really isn't a lot of reviews. I could only find Xbox One, not even Series X. One critic gave it a 60, and there was 2 6s for users. But yeah, that's it. 3.
Yeah. So
if you are still listening, this is one. This can go for saying without for a lot of games, but there is a like tutorial menu in your house. Absolutely utilize it. There's actually like just a lot of things in there, and it took me a while to really like go through. I was looking for questions because you're not going to find anything else. Like we're probably about the only thing you're going to hear about this game, I think. So if you have questions, that's probably your best resource, and I would highly recommend it.
Or message Keith on Twitter.
yeah, message us on our Facebook or go to our Twitter. Our Facebook at GBGBpod.
Yeah. We'll do our best, but again, we don't have answers. I've said this many times.
So yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. Please, we would love to hear if you played this game. If you have any questions while playing it, please also message us. We'll answer them as best we can. Best Keith said, we don't know a lot of things. We spent a lot of hours, and we still don't. But Ivan, you can find us on Facebook at Game Pass Grab Bag. We're at Twitter at GBGBpod, or you can email us at GamePassGrabBag@gmail.com. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
I've been Keith. It's been a couple weeks since I put it out there, but hashtag Keith Reviews still open. Still willing to read any and all reviews of myself as long as they're appropriate. Keep it clean, people. And I'll be hoofing it on out of here.
I'll have to keep that in mind. Keith Reviews. Okay.
I would love if you wrote him one.
Liz is going to be creating burner Twitter accounts just to roast me.
He is way too mean to Liz. He needs to just agree with her.
Liz is not sassy at all. And I'm Liz Noob, gamertag. Come on, I'm Dean, and I'm on Twitter at Liz Noob. Noob is EW.
All right, thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you.